to Deep Sleep Stories. Thank you to everyone who's been listening. If these stories help you relax or fall asleep, a short review, comment, or sharing the podcast with someone who might benefit is a simple and meaningful way to support the show so that we may continue to offer it for free. Now, take a slow, gentle breath and let's begin tonight's story.
Welcome to Deep Sleep Stories. You've taken a moment right now to find stillness in your day. Perhaps you are preparing for bed, your muscles yearning for rest, and your mind craving a gentle lullaby to ease you into slumber. Let yourself relax, breathe deeply, and let the soft hush of this evening guide you. Tonight you will journey into a quiet harbor town, wrapped in winter's embrace, where sparkling snow blankets every rooftop and the gentle toll of distant bells reminds everyone that the season of giving and warmth is here. Close your eyes if you wish, and imagine the crisp tang of icy air and the comforting glow of lamplight dancing upon freshly fallen snow. Let these images breathe peace into your being, guiding you to release the tensions of the day. In just a moment, you'll settle in for a visit to a snow-kissed Christmas market by the sea, where a cup of rich, velvety cocoa awaits, and only the gentlest melodies drift on the breeze. Take a long, cleansing inhale now, filling your lungs with calm. Then exhale slowly, as though sighing into a warm blanket by a fireside. Let each breath deepen your sense of tranquility. Feel the gentle pull of drowsiness guiding your limbs to become heavier, more at ease, more ready for the slow rhythms of a quiet, wintry evening. Let your thoughts drift and float like downy snowflakes, drifting without worry or urgency. Know that here in this story, there is no need to solve problems or dwell on tasks. Your only task is to rest and gently follow along as your imagination strolls into that snowy harbor town where every corner glows with twinkling lights and every breath you take is suffused with cozy cheer. It's time to nestle into the warmth of the evening, letting go of concerns and allowing yourself to be softly embraced by this peaceful moment. In the heart of a winter night, the little harbor town seemed almost dreamlike beneath a thick blanket of snow. Houses stood along narrow, winding streets, their sloping roofs catching the gentle glow of the moonlight. Boats bobbed in the harbor, their masts swaying in the faint hush of the wind. A soft lamplight flickered at regular intervals along the quay, illuminating pathways that led to small shops and the friendly faces who stood behind their frost-touched windows. In the center of town, there lay a quaint Christmas market, quietly bustling despite the late hour, laden with festive wreaths and fragrant evergreens. Stalls were lined up in orderly rows, each lit by strands of tiny, warm bulbs that painted the surrounding snow in a wash of soft gold. A figure strolled toward the market, stepping carefully over the slippery cobblestones. A gentle gust of wind accompanied each step, swirling loose snow into small, enchanting clouds around them. The air smelled of fresh pine, sweet vanilla, and a trace of cinnamon, carried from the many treats and spiced drinks offered by the vendors. The sound of distant bells, light and melodic, whispered through the quiet streets, calling forth a sense of comfort and nostalgia that fit the scene as snugly as a warm scarf. Overhead, the sky was a deep, star-filled canvas, and the moon shimmered, illuminating the scene with its gentle light. In the hush of this snowy evening, passers-by walked slowly, their coats buttoned tight, faces peeking out from scarves and hats. Laughter was low and easy, warm conversation drifting like gentle music in the crisp air. Some had come to find handmade ornaments or small gifts to tuck under fir trees. Others simply wandered, taking in the radiance of the season, finding solace in quiet moments between the stalls. More than one child stood mesmerized by the frosty patterns forming on shop windows, while gloved hands pointed excitedly at homemade confections displayed behind the glass. The figure paused at a stall filled with bright, hand-knitted scarves and mittens, traditional patterns in bold reds and greens, creamy whites, and blues reminiscent of winter skies, hung neatly arranged. The stall owner, a kind-faced older woman with rosy cheeks, greeted visitors with a gentle nod. Her voice was soft, mirroring the hush of the snow outside as she answered questions about yarns and the local wool used for knitting. Each piece looked meticulously crafted, as though tenderly woven with stories of cozy nights spent by a fireplace. Nearby, another stall offered mulled cider and hot chocolate. Steam rose in a beckoning swirl, carrying an aroma of chocolate, sugar, and a hint of spiced warmth. A chalkboard announced the day's specialties in neat handwriting. Cocoa topped with whipped cream, marshmallows, or a sprinkle of fragrant spices. Each cup was served with a small wooden stirring stick. The figure joined the short line, drawn by the promise of rich, velvety warmth. Soon, a steaming cup was in hand, bringing immediate comfort to cold fingers. The first taste was smooth and soothing, melting away any lingering chill and replacing it with a satisfying glow. Continuing through the market, the figure noticed flickering candles arranged on a table covered in evergreen branches and red ribbons. Their flames danced in the brisk air, illuminating small, carved nativity scenes and miniature wooden angels. Everything exuded a sense of meticulous care. A gentle hush seemed to hang over this part of the stall, inviting visitors to pause and reflect on the simpler, quieter moments of the season. The vendor, a slender man with a warm smile, handled each piece with delicate reverence, speaking softly about the tradition behind every carving. And all the while, in the distance, the faint jingle of Christmas bells drifted through the air like a lullaby. Snow continued to fall, though so gently it appeared like stardust, drifting lazily before settling on rooftops and awnings, dusting the tops of old lanterns. Children hopped from one footprint to another, leaving trails of tracks where fresh drifts quickly gathered. Occasionally, a horse-drawn sleigh glided along the outskirts of the town square, its bells joining the quiet chorus of the night. The horse's mane glistened with frost, and its breath, puffed into clouds, seemed to sparkle in the pale luminescence. At the harbor's edge, the figure could see anchored boats, their decks outlined with small string lights that twinkled like reflections of the stars above. Water lapped gently against the hulls, the rhythmic sound providing a calming undercurrent to the holiday murmur from the market. Even in the stillness, there was a sense of expectancy, a timeless feeling that, despite the hush, something wonderful and warm was waiting to be found in every corner. The blend of lantern glow, moonlight, and the gentle swirl of snowflakes created a tapestry of light and shadow that felt perfectly content to linger in silence.
Toward the center of the market, a merry cluster of stalls formed a larger ring around a tall, robust evergreen tree. The tree was beautifully adorned with silver tinsel, delicate orbs in shimmering reds and golds, and an elegant star at its peak. Subtle bells were attached to some of the branches, so whenever a soft gust rustled the boughs, a faint tinkling melody drifted through the air. Beneath the tree, a few musicians played tranquil renditions of classic carols on acoustic guitars and gentle flutes. Their melodies were neither loud nor brash, but mellow and comforting. Passers-by paused, letting the music enfold them in a soft holiday embrace. Nearby, families gathered around a stall, selling gingerbread cookies decorated with colorful icing. Peppermint candy canes and spiced pastries tempted anyone who caught their aroma. A bearded baker, cheeks flushed by the cold, proudly handed out samples of a special Christmas loaf, sprinkled with powdered sugar, each slice revealing bits of dried fruit and nuts. The figure tried a piece, enjoying the contrast of sweet pastry and crunchy walnuts. The taste left a pleasant, lingering satisfaction. In the midst of these simple pleasures, time felt unhurried. Each visitor carried a serene acceptance of the moment, as if the hustle and stress of busier days melted away in the glow of the market lights. Children were in awe of it all, gazing wide-eyed at spinning displays of ornaments that caught every flicker from lantern or star, casting tiny rainbows on the snow. Adults ambled arm in arm, sipping hot beverages, letting the warmth of companionship mingle with the hush of the winter air. Occasionally, laughter drifted through the stalls, subdued but genuine, creating little pockets of lightheartedness. Shops along the edges of the market were dressed in their holiday finery as well. Each storefront displayed garlands of fresh pine, woven with bright berries and ribbons, framing windows that showcased handcrafted trinkets and toys. On several sills, thick candles were lit, their flames casting a gentle glow on the frost-kissed panes. Inside, owners welcomed visitors with kind smiles, offering a brief respite from the cold. In one store, clusters of handmade wreaths hung from the ceiling, each decorated with pine cones, cinnamon sticks, and dried oranges that gave off a tantalizing hint of citrus.
Another shop glowed with every manner of lantern and candle holder, each piece uniquely shaped to reflect or refract light in enchanting ways. Further down, the figure meandered into a quieter side of the market, where the crowd thinned and the hum of conversation receded. Here, a small chapel stood, its doors slightly ajar, inviting passers-by to step inside for a moment of calm. The gentle chime of bells overhead signaled each visitor's entrance, but the hush within was so profound it nearly felt like stepping into a dream. Soft, flickering candlelight revealed the modest interior, where simple wooden benches faced an altar adorned with evergreen branches. The sense of pine and melting wax combined, creating an atmosphere of peace that felt timeless, as though part of an old, cherished tale of winter nights gone by. Once outside again, the figure paused under a lantern, watching the market from a short distance, letting the scene soak in. That quiet ring of stalls shimmered with an otherworldly glow. The hush of it all like a lullaby laid over the drifting flakes. The hush wasn't lonely, it was cozy and gentle, a reminder that even in the cold of winter, warmth and light could be found if one only paused long enough to notice them. This was a place that welcomed all with open arms, inviting them to slow down and savor the small moments that make the season bright. Circling back toward the harbor, the figure noticed an inviting little shop with a wide bay window. It was tucked beneath the sloping roof of a worn, shingle-sided building with a painted sign that read, "Warm Harbor Inn and Bakery." Through the window, the figure glimpsed a fire crackling in a hearth and comfortable chairs arranged for weary travelers to rest. Soft music played within, mingling with the dim glow of lanterns. This place was known among locals as a haven for those seeking a hearty meal or a simple cup of steaming tea at the end of the day. Inside the Warm Harbor Inn and Bakery, the air was fragrant with freshly baked bread and a hint of sweet pastry. The figure found a seat near the fireplace, feeling instantly at ease. A friendly innkeeper brought a small pot of peppermint tea, its steam curling in the warm air. Every detail of the inn seemed carefully chosen to nurture a sense of calm. Old portraits of the harbor in days past lined the walls, each capturing scenes of proud fishing boats or local folk gathering at the docks with baskets of the day's catch. A few plush rugs lay on the wooden floor, inviting visitors to slip off their boots and curl their toes in soft warmth. At a corner table, an elderly couple sat quietly, hands entwined, gazing at the dancing flames with nostalgic smiles. In another corner, a young man meticulously wrote in a small notebook, occasionally looking up at the gentle swirl of snow outside. The hush of the evening lulled everyone into a shared reverie. The figure sipped the peppermint tea, savoring its soothing warmth. Outside, the gentle bell sounds drifted from the market, a reminder that the festivities continued under the starry night. After some time, the figure rose, feeling refreshed and thankful for the moment of rest. Outside, the cold air was bracing but not harsh, and the figure pulled a coat tighter against the gentle breeze. The snow's accumulation on the street was soft, muffling the sound of footsteps. Street by street, lamp by lamp, the figure wandered along the quay, the reflection of golden lights shimmering on the inky water. Occasionally, a gull would cry out from a perch, though most birds had sought the warmth of quieter inlets. Before leaving the market area, the figure found another stall that seemed hidden at first glance. A modest place where a retired sailor sold simple wooden trinkets and ships in bottles. His hands were strong yet nimble, revealing years of experience on the open sea. He greeted visitors with a nod, eyes twinkling as he explained how he created each handcrafted piece. The ships and bottles, each with finely detailed sails and cabins, looked like miniature worlds captured in glass. The figure admired the meticulous artistry, drawn to the careful way the old sailor pointed out each sail, rope, and mast. The quiet conversation felt like a ritual of respect for the sea and its mysteries, a reflection of how the harbor's livelihood had been woven into holiday traditions here. Stepping away, the figure lingered by a large barrel where a small, crackling fire had been lit to provide warmth to anyone who paused for conversation. A few people stood around, hands stretched out to the flames. They talked in soft voices, sharing anecdotes from winter days gone by, sledding down the old hill on the outskirts of town, gathering sea stones polished smooth by icy waves, or simply recounting the arrival of a particularly memorable snowfall. The figure listened, content to let the stories wash over them like the comforting tide of the ocean beyond. Farther along, the gentle toll of a bell signaled that another hour had passed. Yet no one seemed in a rush to go anywhere. The figure saw neighbors greeting one another with warm hugs, while children, eyes heavy with drowsy wonder, clung to their parents' hands, not wanting to leave the magic of the night. An old clock tower rose above the rooftops, crowned by a spire where a weather vane squeaked in the wind. At its base, the foundation was decorated with evergreen garlands and ribbons, and a few lanterns glowed softly, guided by the same bells that rang, echoing through the stillness. A gentle shift in the wind carried a whisper of the sea, bringing with it a faint, briny note that mingled with the scents of cinnamon and cocoa. The figure stopped to gaze out across the harbor. The lights of distant vessels twinkled like small floating stars, and the shoreline curved gracefully into the night, gradually fading into shadows. Somewhere, a distant gull called once more, then fell silent. The hush that followed was as comforting as a lullaby, inviting every traveler to linger just a moment longer, to breathe in the snowy air and let the hush of the harbor tide them over into contentment. Returning toward the central square, the figure noticed how the Christmas tree glowed even brighter against the deepening blue of the night sky. Its ornaments and lights sparkled and the star on top appeared to reflect the moon's pale glow. Clustered at its base, a few local musicians still played gentle carols, their melodies so soft they seemed to caress the very snow that fell around them. Children yawned and nuzzled into their parents' coats, while warm drinks and final purchases were made at the stalls. Those who lingered seemed in no hurry to conclude the evening, lulled by the snowfall and the soothing atmosphere of companionship. The figure sensed that this was a night meant for savoring every moment, for cherishing the small details, like the way a lantern's light danced in the puddles of melting snow, or how the quiet ring of a bell could make one's heart feel safe and grounded. Eventually, the figure began to make their way along a narrow street leading out of the market. The road curved past a cluster of cottages, each with a wreath on its door and light shining through curtains, revealing cozy interiors. Trails of smoke curled from chimneys, and every now and then, a muffled laugh or tune could be heard through a window, suggesting that families and friends were gathered inside, celebrating the warmth of the season. At one modest cottage, a glowing star lantern hung by the door. Inside, a table was set with simple dishes, and candles flickered in the window, revealing silhouettes of figures sharing a meal. Their gentle presence reminded the figure that the real magic of these wintry nights isn't found in glitz or spectacle, but in the quiet, heartfelt exchanges that bring light to the dark. Neighbors looking after neighbors, families huddling close in the hush of night, friends sharing warm drinks. All these small acts brought the spirit of the season alive. As the figure walked deeper into the quieter residential lanes, the sound of the market began to soften, replaced by the low murmur of wind through tree branches and the muffled crunch of footsteps on snow. Shadows stretched beneath old iron street lamps, cast in soft yellows and oranges that glowed like silent guardians. An occasional swirl of snow rose up from drifts along fences, dancing momentarily before settling once again into stillness. The figure's gaze wandered skyward, drawn by the vastness of the night. Countless stars shimmered, unclouded by bright city lights. Each star seemed to be a tiny promise that in the depths of winter, hope always sparkles. Something about this place, the harbor, the market, the hush of the season felt timeless, as though it existed in its own gentle, unhurried world. It was a realm where calm enveloped every corner, inviting the heart to beat a bit slower, the mind to grow a bit quieter, and the spirit to rest. With every step, the crunch of snow underfoot became more soothing, a gentle rhythm guiding the figure forward. Window by window, the lights dimmed as families prepared for sleep, drawing curtains against the chill. Yet for those who remained awake, the snow-blanketed streets and the shimmering market lights offered a lullaby no words could replicate. Somewhere near the water, a boat's bell sounded once in time with the soft hush of waves. The figure closed their eyes, if only for a moment, letting the sound sink into their bones, a gentle resonance of peace. Pausing near a wooden bridge that spanned a small inlet, the figure leaned against the railing. Down below, the water reflected moonlight like liquid silver, and tiny icicles clung to the bridge's underpinnings. A faint scent of salt lingered in the air, mixing with the pervasive sweetness of pine. In the stillness, the figure allowed the mind to wander, remembering the tender moments of the evening. A cup of steaming hot cocoa that warmed cold hands, the sight of jingle bells dancing gently on the town's grand tree, and the hush of kind faces lost in wonder at a simple Christmas tradition. Each memory felt like a soft blessing, something that would accompany them far beyond this place. And for a long while, the figure simply stood there, taking in the gentle lull that is born of a calm winter's night by the sea, letting the quiet carry them like a gentle tide of serenity. When at last they stirred and resumed their walk, it was with a heart replenished and a quiet sense of gratitude that glowed like a lantern in the darkest hours of night. Strolling down the final lane, the figure saw the friendly lights of home. It was a modest dwelling, but welcoming in every sense. The steps had been cleared of snow with care, and a wreath of dried flowers and pine cones adorned the front door. Soft candlelight glowed in the window, promising warmth within. And inside, the hush was exactly the sort that encourages weary travelers to loosen scarves, set aside coats, and settle in for a snug, peaceful evening. Now, as the midnight hour gently approaches, all is quiet in that snowy harbor town. Lamplights grow dim. The last echoes of the Christmas market softly fade beneath a hush of fresh fallen snow. Even the sea seems to rest, its gentle waves lapping with a lullaby's cadence. It is a time for deep comfort, for letting every care drift away on the glimmering tide of stars overhead. Take a moment and let your body relax into stillness. Imagine you can feel the lingering warmth of a cup of cocoa in your hands, the aroma of chocolate and spices wafting upward. Let that memory envelop you in calm. Let your shoulders soften and your breath slow. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to ponder, except the gentle release that comes with a night well spent. The weight of your limbs grows heavier, pulled into the coziness of rest. Picture the glow of the market in the distance, lights slowly winking out. Hear the fading notes of bells in your mind, sweet and distant, guiding you deeper into a realm of quiet dreams. Allow each exhale to carry you further into that space of deep, healing sleep, where the hush of snowfall and the lull of waves cradle you like a tender lullaby. All around you, the universe slows and softly presses you toward peaceful slumber. Breathe in once more, long and slow, feeling the pure essence of rest fill you. Breathe out any remaining worries or lingering thoughts, letting them drift away into the starry night. Your breath is calm, your heart is steady. In this serene harbor of your imagination, The hush of winter invites every part of you to dream, to float gently, to sleep. Good night, dear traveler. May the lull of the waves and the whisper of snowy bells keep you safe and warm through this silent night. Sleep well. Let your dreams be filled with comfort and gentle wonder, and when morning comes, let it find you refreshed, your spirit light and at peace under the glow of a new dawn.